Okay.
I'd like to welcome everyone here to the regular town board meeting of November 16th, 2020. For those of you who are in the room, please make note of the emergency exit. I'm going to announce who's here in the room with us this evening. Judy Boyke, Wayne Freeman, Tracy Councilman, and Gretchen Walter. Virtually this evening, we have Mike Pacalo, Jonathan Park, Nancy White, Dr. Johans, Steve Turner, Neil Germain, Chris Bosnica, Nicole Wall, Kate Fiorello, and Mike Mauricio.
Bill, talk closer into your mic.
Thank you. Okay, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilor Boyke. Here. Councilor Carter.
Here.
Councilor White.
Here.
Councilor Pacalo.
Here.
Supervisor Meyer.
Here. First item on the agenda, pledge of allegiance, led by Clerk Councilman.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. I'd like to take a moment of silence to thank you, to each and every one of you, for supporting each other during these continuously challenging times. This Thanksgiving, let us all take the time to think of and thank our first responders, our military, our firefighters, our police officers, and frontline healthcare professionals for continuing to keep us safe. Wishing all of you and your families a happy and safe Thanksgiving. And remember, Thanksgiving is every day.
Thank you. Nancy, number 2, please.
Approval of abstracts. Resolved, the Cicero Town Board approves abstract number 47, dated November 10th, 2020.
Second.
Second, Ms. Boyke, any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Boyke. Yes. Councilor Carter.
Aye.
Councilor White.
Yes.
Councilor Pacalo.
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes. I move adopted. Thank you. Next item is public hearing to consider opt out of section 47 of the real property tax law. The clerk has provided proof of posting, and the clerk will please note the time. And Mrs. Boyke would like to take number 3.
Yes. The public hearing is to consider opt-out of section 487 of the real property tax law. Whereas pursuant to New York State Real Property Tax Law, section 102.12b, a solar or wind energy system is considered real property for the purpose of taxation once it is affixed to real property or a structure. And whereas section 487 of the New York State Real Property Tax Law, RPTL, currently allows owners of real property to apply for and obtain a 15-year exemption from additional property taxation related to improvements installed or affixed to property for qualifying solar or wind energy systems. And whereas the RPTL allows local taxing jurisdictions to opt out and disallow the taxation exemption for solar and wind energy pursuant to section 487 by adopting a local law specifically doing so. It is now hereby resolved. The Cicero Town Board called for the public hearing on November 16, 2020, commencing at 6:30 p.m. local time, to consider the adoption of a local law pursuant to section 487 of the Real Property Tax Law, RPTL, to opt out of allowing real property tax exemption pursuant to section 487 of the RPTL and declare improvements related to solar and wind energy systems fully taxable in the town of Cicero.
Second.
Judy, I think you had a, email, or I think that's always got email from one resident. I don't happen to have it with us. That resident was in opposition to that, to this convention. You
Yeah,
happen to have that, or?
I do not. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong folder. But I do believe I addressed it. And the purpose of this is to protect the taxpayers and the town of Cicero in regards to tax exemptions. It is not that we are not in favor, but we are still in favor of protecting our residents. And this opt-out allows us to do so. The local options that are attached to the 487 exemption is structured as an opt-out, not an opt-in. That means the exemption is automatically in effect within the municipality unless it is adopted by law, ordinance, or resolution providing the exemption shall not be available. In municipalities that have taken no action, no way or other, the exemption would be in effect. This way, this exemption will be in effect until we do so, otherwise make another resolution to take this exemption away. Right now, though, opt-out is important because we have a moratorium to reevaluate our town in regards to solar energy systems for commercial, not for residential. Thank you.
Any other board members have any input on this item? Okay, hearing none, I'll keep the public hearing open to the next regular meeting in case there's any further input or discussion. So moving on to the next item, it's number 4, continuation of public hearing for the 2021 Town of Cicero Fire District budget. Again, at the last meeting, the clerk provided the notification of the proper posting. Just to make sure that we get the numbers correct as far as the dollar amount per district. The Brewerton district, including the service award, is $487,541. Cicero, including the service award, is $542,498. South Bay, including the service award, is $438,156. Bridgeport is without a service award on our part. It's $140,000. Village of North Syracuse, $296,867. Is there any further information or questions, comments from the board on this item? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing on that item. The next item, number 5, Mr. Karp.
Whereas, after holding a public hearing and careful deliberation of the preliminary budget, including fire districts, now therefore be it resolved, the Cicero Town Board approves and adopts the Cicero 2021 fire district budgets.
Second.
We can hardly hear you, John.
Right.
All right, I'll try speaking up.
And also Mike and Nancy, when you speak, it's pretty hard to hear you. Thank you.
It's weird.
Okay, we need a second on this item.
I'll second that.
Second, Ms. Blakey. Discussion on number 5. Hearing none, clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Cart,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
I will abstain as I am a volunteer in the town of Cicero.
duly noted. Supervisor Meyer,
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. Continuation of public hearing for the 2021 Town of Cicero budget. At the last meeting, the clerk provided proof of posting. Further discussion on the public hearing component. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Move
Well-
on to the next item. Next item is number 7, Mrs. Blakey.
To award the brush contract for the town of Cicero. Whereas the County of Onondaga Purchasing Department, on behalf of the town of Cicero, solicited bids for furnishing curbside brush collection and disposal by a bid proposal dated September 24th, 2020. And whereas the bid responses were due and opened on October 15th, 2020. And whereas, among other requirements, the bid specifications required the bidders to have a grapple truck vehicle for use in collecting large items. And whereas the Onondaga County Purchasing Department and the town of Cicero duly canvassed the bid responses received on October 15th, 2020, and found Last Chance Recycling Incorporated submitted the low bid of $593,040 for a 2-year period beginning April 1st, 2021 to January 31st, 2023. Actual dates per the bid specs. However, during canvassing, it was noted Last Chance Recycling, Inc. did not submit the required proof of ownership or lease of a grapple truck as required. And whereas the second lowest bid was received from On-Site Development LLC in the amount of $640,000. And whereas the town of Cicero now wishes to award the contract to the low bidder strictly subject to the compliance with the required specifications, it is therefore hereby resolved. The town of Cicero conditionally awards the contract for curbside brush collection and disposal to Last Chance Recycling, Inc. for the low bid of $593,040. This bid is awarded strictly subject to the Last Chance Recycling, Inc. providing the town supervisor with satisfactory proof of ownership or lease of a grapple truck per the contract bid specifications prior to close of business on December 3rd, 2020. In the event satisfactory proof of ownership, lease, or grapple truck is not provided by Last Chance Recycling, Inc., as herein directed, the town of Cicero awards the contract to the second lowest bidder, On-Site Development LLC, for the amount of $640,000 for the same specifications defined contract period. That's in the form of a motion.
Okay, do you have a second?
Second.
Harp, discussion on this item.
I would like to make a comment that regarding the grapple truck, obviously, when we have limits, that the weight of the object to be picked up or the size of the brush or tree branches to be picked up, that the grapple truck, in my opinion, would probably be used over and above the normal use during pickup. Thank you.
A couple little interesting things on this contract. The current contract is obviously during the, I'm going to call it brush pickup period, but with one small exception in that it runs into January for the Christmas tree pickup component. Then this contract would be starting in the spring. So we have kind of a bit of a gap between, when the, I'm going to call the day-to-day brush pickup picks up. So Elko, could you elaborate on this a little bit? And we have some of the numbers to kind of run through so that everybody has a clear understanding of this in the financial component.
Well, as you said, after December 31st, the only pickup would be on in January for the Christmas trees, and then regular pickup wouldn't start to begin until January 31st. I have some numbers here as to the amounts that it would cost. Hold on. We would end up having right now we're paying on-site $35,000 of payment for 9 payments made throughout the year. And we're going to pay Last Chance, let's see, for the year $296,520. or 32,946. So we'd be saving a couple $1,000s a payment or per payment for 9 months.
Okay, then we have the next year for the, based on renewals too, right?
Yes.
Okay, because this contract also has a renewal option.
Mr.
Correct, has renewal options?
Mr. Supervisor?
I believe it does.
Yeah, it does. I was looking to have her.
I believe it does because this is the second.
Okay, did you hear my question?
Yeah. What was that again?
Renewal options, it also has an initial contract period plus 2 renewals.
2 renewals. That's correct.
Right, okay. Okay, further discussion on number 7.
Mr. Supervisor, can we be guaranteed to find out what happens by the close of business on December 3rd, whether or not we have that proof?
I'm sorry, Nancy, I know you're talking, but I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can we make sure that at the end of the close of business on December 3rd, that we are all told whether or not there was proof of ownership of the truck or proof of lease of that truck?
Absolutely, we'll have an organizational meeting immediately after the 3rd, and so I'm sure if there's an issue, it'll be brought up at the organizational meeting.
Well, this December 3rd is what he has to reply
Oh,
by.
I apologize. Yes, I will definitely keep the board informed.
Great, thank you very much.
The other part of it is I misspoke. And when I said organizational meeting, we do have a regular town board meeting coming up immediately after that. If
Okay.
there's an issue, I will notify you at the time and then obviously at the meeting.
Thank you.
Any further questions on number 7? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Cart,
Yes.
Counselor White,
No.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
No. The item is adopted. Thank you. Next item is creating a temporary information aid position. Whereas the secretary to the town supervisor is retiring on December 11, 2020, and there is a desire to train the incoming person to that position. Now, therefore, be resolved, the Cicero Town Board authorizes the creation of a temporary information aid to the supervisor's office starting on November 17, 2020, at an hourly rate of $17.91 per hour for a maximum of 120 hours for a total of $2,151 to facilitate the transition and training of the new secretary, budget code A12204. Basically, what I'm looking for is the same transition as what happened in the Parks Department. The new secretarial position will not be including the director of purchasing. We'll talk about that later. But that being said, especially after the state comptroller came in and offered a numerous number of suggestions to get our purchasing in order and our documentation in order, that's greatly expanded the job. In addition, the office has the additional duties of the Veterans Counselor and the Senior Advocate. Not that the 2 of us can do the job of 2 other people, but the job has expanded. I need a second.
Second.
Second, Mrs. Boyke. Discussion on number 8.
So just so I'm clear that this is basically, now who's going to be this temporary aid?
I do not have.
How are you, I guess my question is, how are we going to have someone come in to train somebody when that person doesn't know the position to train to? Confused.
Okay, the incumbent is there. The incumbent is going to be there for a few
Yes.
days, well,
Yes.
until December. So this would be an opportunity to have a new person there who would become the secretary of the supervisor to be able to be trained and become familiar with the job prior to the retirement of the incumbent.
So, all right. So in other words, Jolie is going to be training this aide, is that?
what
Correct.
we're doing.
And then with the idea that once Jolie retires, then this person would be
Would become your,
Would be
your
available.
secretary.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion on number 8. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carr,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes. Item is adopted. Thank you. Number 9, adoption of the 2021 Town of Cicero budget. Whereas after holding a public hearing, careful deliberation of the preliminary budget, now therefore be resolved, Cicero Town Board approves and adopts the 2021 Town of Cicero budget, including special districts. I'm sure there are a number of amendments that are going to be offered. We need a second to start the discussion.
Second.
Second, Mr. Carr. Okay, Ms. Johans has been very kind to put together a worksheet that all the board members have been provided. Last time when we did a preliminary budget, I offered to go through and do by lines, but evidently some folks want to do it a little mass together. I'm offering again. I think the more thorough way to make sure everybody's clear is to go through this one line at a time. The clerk has been given the sheet that you've all been offered. I'll start out with number 1, who would like to open up with, and I just number them from top to the bottom, but the first one is municipal court. Someone like to bring that up.
Yeah, I'll offer that as an amendment proposing restoring all the funds cut from the municipal court budget with the exception of those funds for the judges' pay raises and health insurance, which is a total of $19,500. I've talked to you all, I've spoken to the judges. I believe that their budget was pretty trim, with the exception of the items we're not putting back in. And I believe it's that these funds are necessary for the court's proper operation.
John, one question in regards to, because we were looking to try to consolidate the software, is that their line item special? I think it was, I'm not even sure the line item. Do they have special software?
They do.
You
It's
know?
required by the Office of Court Administration. It is unique to the court system. They do have to pay for it, so it's not something that can be obtained through another vendor or savings that can be obtained through consolidation of services with other departments or anything like that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Without objection, if the board is willing, if it's okay with you, we'll waive the calling of seconds on each one of these items. If are we in concurrence on that, we can skip on the seconds.
Yes.
Yep.
Just have it move along. Okay, any further discussion on number 1, municipal court? We have a motion. Discussion? Hearing none, clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carr,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes. Item that amendment is adopted. Number 2, I'll take that. Comptroller's personal services. On your sheet, you will see that that's a $40,000 item. I'm changing it to $20,000 as a part-time position. That position takes care of HR, workers' comp, safety, and assistant on the payroll. And the second part of that, because I split that item, is to put in a contingent A19904 for $20,000 and have that the director of purchasing. So it'll be an earmarked contingency item. Further discussion on that?
So I'm sorry, we're gonna pay $20,000 to someone to be director of purchasing?
Correct.
Were
We really know what that involves. I don't think that's no, sorry, but
Oh, you got a question? I'm
No,
here.
please, yeah.
Well, I think that without really knowing the full scope of what this new streamlining of purchase orders that we are going to do, that we should be allocating that much money. So you're saying though that this person that would be part-time in the comptrollers would also become this purchasing order person?
After researching it further, the person cannot be director of purchasing and be in the comptroller's office. So we can't have that as an additional duty in that particular office. It has to be
So-
separate, it has to be outside the comptroller's office.
So that person would be responsible, boom, to you or to the board or to?
We haven't gotten that far. It's to put it's a organizational meeting item. Each year at the organizational meeting, the director of purchasing is named. Okay, so it had to be named at that time.
Right.
So we're not there yet. Once Jolie retires, she's the named person in the organizational meeting to be the director of purchasing. Once she retires, that named person is gone. So we do not have a director of purchasing once she retires.
So that wouldn't be able to be combined with this informational aid?
I've been told by Mr. Jermaine that the state folks view that as a conflict, that you can't have the director of purchasing in the same office as the comptroller.
No, but I
Guess I
mean
have to
your informational aid.
Oh, that is not my informational aid is a temporary position just for the transition training.
I guess I have to ask, I mean, I don't know, is a town required to have a director of purchasing? Is this something that every town has? I mean, is the retirement of our current director of purchasing maybe an opportunity for us to re-examine our purchasing procedures?
Yeah, that's why I'm looking to have it there and put $1 with it so that we have some kind of a budget item to go with with that item. It was literally this afternoon information provided by Mr. Jermaine after thorough review and working with the comptroller to make sure if it was available to do one way or another. But we're in budget, so this is a time to, and that's why I have it as a contingent item. And so then that would automatically bring it back to the board for consideration before action.
So it actually sounds like we're going to be creating a new position.
Correct.
So are you adding that into the contingency line?
I'm right. I'm adding that in a contingent and as you're familiar, make a notation with a contingency line as far as what it's for the director of purchasing.
So it's still the 40,000 then.
The dollars is the same. I split it so that the information aide is the person that work in the comptroller's office. That's one part-time person. Another part-time person at the 20 for the director of purchasing.
I should mention though that I have already $12,000 in my personal services line to basically pay kind of for a quarter-time person. I do not believe that that is going to work out next year, so I would need another $10,000 to make my quarter-time person a half-time person.
Okay, the other item that would go with this item, having it split into two part-time is, if you go down to the bottom of that, I'm going to call page 1, retirement, insurance and taxes, 28,000, that 28,000 goes away. So that's a savings of $28,000.
So Elka, what is it that you need in order to have your support for your part-time person?
I need another $10,000 so that I can have a half-time payroll HR person.
So
at
that would
halftime, they won't require any health insurance benefits.
Right. So what is the full amount that you would need?
$14,000, and that would include the payroll taxes and retirement.
So yours would be 14 and
So I
Joe,
would
you're
need
looking
10.
for 20?
I'm in the same neighborhood. I can live with. We're getting down to pretty small numbers.
No, I know, but we're looking at
Right.
34,000 or 40,000.
Well, I just cut 28 on the bottom item here for the retirement insurance and taxes. So
I'm in
All right, so
concurrence
let's-
with that. I would only need $4,000 for payroll taxes and retirement. Bill would probably need for another $20,000 person, also $4,000 for payroll taxes and retirement.
Right.
So it would be then the $8,000 for retirement, insurance, and taxes, adding additional $20,000 to the contingent line and $10,000 to the comptroller's personal services line.
Okay.
Elko, for the benefit of the clerk, could you give a summary of the numbers you went, just so she can have a chance to write it down clearly?
Right. I'm saying with Bill's having a part-time purchasing at $20,000, we would need an additional $8,000 in the retirement insurance, or excuse me, retirement and payroll taxes, not 28. Because 28 would be what I roughly calculated the insurance cost for a full-time person. So that would be 8,000. And that's at the bottom. You're adding $20,000 to the contingency for your for the purchasing person, and then I would need $10,000 to fully fund a half-time position in my office.
Okay, Elko, so your line is going down to 10,000.
Correct,
Okay.
because I already have 12 in the budget. They
Right.
said for a quarter time, but I don't believe that that's going to work.
Okay, so it's not
I've
40.
got to at least go half-time.
Okay. And then down lower, special items contingent account, that's gonna go to 70,000?
Right now, yes, because I've got 50 in there, and if we add another 20, that's 70. But we haven't gotten to the contingency, so
And then the 28 changes to 8,000 for the.
correct.
Taxes.
Yep.
Okay,
I'm still trying to wrap my head around $20,000 for a director of purchasing, which is a position that was not paid, looking at last year's organizational meeting.
Right, and that put that person clearly not in compliance, out of title, and especially after the state comptroller came through with the directives, and since the other two part-time positions have been, so that person is definitely out of title. Not much discussion about being way out of title.
No.
Well, by leaving it in the contingency, doesn't earmark it specifically $20,000 that has to go for that position. The board chooses to make it another amount,
Right.
then you would
It's
move
just-
that
it's
amount
just-
out of the.
Just so we have a number in the budgets, do I have something to work off of?
Well,
Well,
I
because
had a question about what we're using the 50,000 in contingency for, if we're going to add another 20. Obviously, we need to discuss that when we get there.
Right, right.
Okay,
the
so
comptroller personal services is what number now?
$10,000.
10,000.
I need an additional 10. I have 12 in the budget right now
Okay, so it's no longer 40, it's 10,000
for the comptroller position.
Right.
for the comptroller personnel services position. Okay.
okay,
Yes.
all right. So that's what we're voting on right now is 10,000.
Well, we're
Okay.
doing the two. We got the comptroller personal services, which I split into two parts. I
Okay,
put that into the 20, and Elka basically adjusted it to 10, which I'll agree to. And then the 20 for the director of purchasing in a contingency account. The board has to make a decision on that later. What it does is it puts a number to it so that when the board's ready to go, then we have, at least we have money to work off of.
It seems that we have two items here that we're discussing. One
Right.
is the $10,000 to make my quarter-time person half-time. And then the
Right.
second other item is the $20,000 for the purchasing.
Right, I
So
split
perhaps
that
we
one
want to
item.
split those
Split
up
that one item in
when
two.
you want to vote.
I just figured we'd be voting on the, because that's contingent, I thought we'd be voting on that at the bottom with the contingency, but okay.
I can go either way, so if you want to. All right,
I'd
think
rather
we're
wait
all-
until
I
we
think
get
we're
to
all in
that line.
agreement
Okay, if
item.
that's, all right,
With the
I'll-
10,000, so we can go ahead and vote on that, correct?
Yeah, I think we're all in
I'll-
agreement on that.
I'll take that out and we'll just vote on the first item, the 10,000 for the, to move the part-time person in the comptroller's office to, I'm going to call a full part-time position.
Well, I had a quarter, now I have a half.
Quarter to a half, correct. Okay, further discussion on number 2. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes, to
Counselor
the,
Carr,
Yes,
I'm sorry, yes to the halftime person for comptroller.
Counselor Carr,
yes,
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, that amendment is adopted. Okay, so we'll do the contingent a little later on. Next item, number 3, town clerk personal services.
I'll take that one. This is to bring the deputy clerk, who was brought in as a part-time, up to the full-time deputy clerk at $17 an hour, which is a $3,100 increase in the budget, plus $500 for overtime required for the deputy clerk to support the town board meetings and any other activities during this COVID time that is necessary.
Okay,
I'm
I think
okay with doing
we'll-
both of those together.
We'll separate those because.
Oh, so, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay. First one is $17 an hour
Right.
increase.
Okay, discussion on number 3, which is the $3,100 item. Hearing none, clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carr,
yes,
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. Judy, did you want to do the next one?
Yes, the $500 overtime required for participation at all the board meetings and any other activities that will require the deputy clerk to have to work overtime. It's a $500 item.
Okay, discussion on the clerk overtime.
That amount was not included in the budget, so in order to adjust it, we've got to include it now.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Discussion on the clerk overtime. Hearing none, clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carr,
yes,
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. Next item, special items, judgment and claims.
I'll speak on that one. We took $10,000 out of the budget, seeing that there hadn't been any activity in that account for the last couple of years. But I've spoke with the tax assessor and Neil, and they assure me that there are many tax certiorieries out there that could very well be settled this year. So I wanted to get at least some amount into the budget. We've got about 140,000 out there, and we would have available $40,000. Now, all of them are not likely to be settled all at the same time, and I'm not sure if they will be settled for their full amount. So I
Okay,
just
I'm gonna
wanted to put money back in the budget so something was available if we did settle.
Okay, I'll move that. Further discussion on number 5? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carr,
yes,
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, amendment is adopted. Thank you. Number 6, Superintendent Highways Computer Software.
I'll speak on that item if I may.
Sure.
The highway department made great noises about us removing their software for vehicle repairs. I looked at that line this morning. I didn't see that there had been any software purchased out of that line. I went to discover where they have purchased the software. They've used their own DB account to pay for the software. So removing this line isn't going to hurt the highway department. They've already purchased the software out of another account code. So this would just basically be moving it out of the A fund.
The purchase was for 2,500?
$24.95. It was very close.
I
Okay.
guess so.
Okay,
Yeah.
who would like to move this item?
I will move it.
Okay, motion by Ms. Boyke, discussion on this item? Clerk will call the
So does
roll.
that mean, hold on, please. Does that mean they just purchased this software, so they don't need to purchase it again next year?
No, they do need to purchase it each year, but when they purchased it, they used a highway account code to
Okay, I
purchase
see.
it out of. They didn't even use the account code in the A fund.
So we
So
can,
if they're using their own highway fund to pay for it, why should it be again in the A fund for the same software?
got it.
It's not like,
We will
we
educate them on. getting
Taking,
that
so we're
right.
taking this, we're voting to take this out?
correct.
Confused, okay. So by voting yes, you're saying no.
No, I think you should vote no, and it's no, it'll be out.
Okay,
But these items aren't in our, so that's why I'm a little confused. So it's kind of,
Well, we can make a motion, Mike, and make it really clear. If that's the will of the board.
Please do.
Okay. You want to take your motion out, Ms. Blake?
Yes, take my motion off because
Okay.
it has changed.
Okay.
thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Mike. Based on that, I'm going to make a specific motion to not have this included and to direct the highway superintendent to the proper budget code for future purchases on this item.
I'll make sure they know too.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, further discussion on this item? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
I'm voting yes to
No.
removing it.
Yes.
I thought we didn't need to vote.
Right,
We
it's
are
not
sending a
in.
message.
Nancy,
We are
you're
sending a
right.
message to Mr. Woznicka that he was using the improper code, and to direct him to use the proper code as well. So we're doing a message along with the amendment for the budget.
Is that even is that necessary to do that though?
It's not required. It's trying to be very clear to the highway superintendent. That's all.
I was just confused because I thought we were taking away that motion to put this in.
Nancy, I agree. That's what I was thinking as well.
yeah, me too.
Okay.
I believe the motion is that the software has been purchased and it is being allocated to the DB account. Therefore, this item is no longer in the budget.
Correct.
Well,
So
it
we
wasn't
shouldn't
though. This,
vote on it. It wasn't in.
yeah, it's already
Yeah.
not in. We would have to vote to put it in.
Right.
Well,
Right.
it's put
Let's
back
not
in.
vote.
Not necessary.
Yeah,
Aren't you glad there's only 20 items?
Oh, you're welcome.
I disappeared.
Okay,
Ah.
I'll withdraw my motion. We'll move on to the next item, number
Okay.
7. Economic Brewerton Town portion, 40,000 is for the purchase of the property. I think we're all familiar with the Brewerton revitalization project. Any discussion on number 7?
Yes.
Ms. Boyke?
First of all, the economic development, I want it to be made clear that it is in no way that I am against any of this. But my being very familiar with this since it's been ongoing for 11 years, and the fact that these properties, I was actually involved with the initial purchase 11 years ago. And this money is being taken from the fund balance. I see no reason why we would need to allocate $40,000 out of the fund balance when in fact, if this property did become available, that the money is still going to be there. I just don't feel that this is emergency money. That money can stay in the fund balance, and if this property comes along, obviously the money will be there. I just don't believe it needs to be a budget item. Thank you.
Yeah, that was my thinking. I mean, I thought we were, I mean, if the property becomes available, and we've been trying to buy it forever, I will absolutely vote to pay for it out of the fund balance. I don't know why we need to allocate fund balance to that now instead of just doing it when the time comes next year. I don't know why we would do it that way.
I agree with Counselor Carp and Counselor Blakey.
Further discussion on number 7?
Mr. Supervisor, is there a reason why we would allocate it now instead of when the time comes to purchase it?
It's an item so that we can show to the state, because we're going to be in a competitive situation on grants and money all over the place, to make sure our application is the best we can make it, because there are going to be other municipalities around the state that are going to be competing for the money. And if we can say we have the money ready to go and the other municipalities do not have the money ready to go, it would strengthen, in my opinion, our application.
This is
For other
already
grants?
allocated to the Schumer grant.
Mhm.
This has been allocated to us from the Schumer grant ever since 2009. I don't believe that after speaking with several of the new elected or re-elected, that there's going to be any extra money flying around. I've been told that there's no free money, and there won't be for quite a while. So unless we have paperwork stating that this $40,000 needs to be shown in an account, it is in the account, and we can prove we have it. I don't
I
believe
agree.
we need to budget it.
I agree. And that was some of the discussion I had with our parks director. Basically, I'm not going to put words in her mouth, but we have the fund balance money and we can pay for it when the time comes. So I don't see any need to allocate it now.
Okay, further discussion on number 7. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
No.
Counselor Carr,
No.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
No.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes. Item is defeated. Next item is Route 11 Guy Young Road. That's the extension, $7,000. That's a motion for that item.
I see that there's 2 competing for the same budget item. I mean, maybe we could discuss them. How do you want to handle that, Mr. Supervisor?
Well, you've got kind of 2 options. One, you spend $7,000 to extend the grant. 2, you put in the $65,000 to restore the budgeted item, or actually you've got 3 choices. Or 3, you do nothing.
All right.
And we had 2 competing, 2 people requested different things to have to do with the same line item.
Okay.
One was to just put $7,000 in there to keep the grant going. The other was to restore basically half of the town's share of a $650,000 grant.
Okay. I'll speak to the 7,000 because that was my request. Again, after a discussion with our parks director, I'm not saying she endorsed that specifically. I'm sure she'd like to have everything she budgeted in there, and she can jump in if she wants. I know she's on. The suggestion was, rather than take it all out entirely, to spend some money, maybe allocate $7,000 for drawings, so that in the event we do need to, because I think we have till 2023 for this, in the event that we do need to apply for an extension, we can show that work continued on the project. We didn't just let it lay dormant for a year, to show basically that we've been acting in good faith. And so that was my suggestion. That was what she suggested when I met with her. And I found that to be reasonable. So that's why I suggested putting the 7,000 back in, so we can at least show some activity if we do have to apply for an extension. And that's the
Again,
entirety of my
I'd like to
comments.
speak to this. Unfortunately, we are in a situation that we have been in, and updating continuous paying for drawings, which I have a large stack of these. With the Burton Route 11 bridge, it is proposed to start replacement. It's not even going to be a repair. It's going to be a full replacement, which is going to encompass all of the area, including part of, and maybe even all of the park itself. Plus, it's going to be shutting down the Route 11 bridge to minimal traffic, one-way controlled either way. I don't see where we would be chastised to show doing anything in regards to this grant for the next 2 to 3 years. After speaking with some of the business owners, particularly the waterfront owner across the way, who they have shut down the street in front for traffic, it's been that way for a year, that the anticipation is going to be a major impact on the hamlet of Burton, and I don't see where we're going to be able to move forward with anything for 2 to 3 years. Even, and again, the money is allocated, the money is in an emergency, and if we do get obviously pressured to show that we are doing something with it, we have the money to do so. Again, this is a reserve money.
Further discussion on number 8. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
No.
Counselor Carp,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
It's Counselor White first.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
No.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes. I was keeping track, but I had a couple of surprises when we went out of order. So will the clerk give me the count on that vote, please?
Boy-
2 noes, I believe.
Yeah, Boyke, no.
It was
Bacallo,
3 to
no.
2.
3 to
3
2.
to 2.
Item is adopted. Thank you. Okay, so that was the $7,000 item. I have the next item. I'll move it, Route 11 to Baldwin. Same argument that Jonathan came up with, except my request is for the restore the full item. So basically, it changes it from the 7,000, which was just approved, to 65. Discussion on.
Is it the
number-
7 added on to the 65?
Yeah,
It's
well,
or.
it would take the place of number 8. 9 would
Thank
take
you,
the
Bill.
place of number 8, just for clarification. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
No.
Counselor Carp,
No.
Counselor White,
No.
Counselor Bacallo,
No.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is defeated. Next item is number 10, which is the $2,500 for the Riverfront Project grant writing. So I'm putting that out there. Again, to continue the grant application to go forward, we hire a consultant to do the grant applications.
We
No.
have 3 grants already.
We have a lot of them.
We have, yes, but 3 specifically dedicated to the Burton Revitalization
Yep.
Hamlet. And as I said, every time we write a grant, the town has an obligation to put money up as well. None of them are free.
Yep, absolutely agree.
And I don't believe writing a grant at this time is going to do us any good, because there's no money out there, and there isn't going to be for a while. So I just believe that this is an effort and futility at this time.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion on number 10. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
No.
Counselor Carr,
No.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
No.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is defeated. Next item is 11, final Hamlet plan, $6,500. I'll move it. Discussion on the item.
Bill, I'm having a hard time hearing you again. Mike and Wayne, are you hearing it well or no? Okay.
I can hear him.
I'm close enough.
Oh, that sounds perfect.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
That was good.
I'll put it right there.
That's perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
65.
What's the final Hamlet
6,500.
plan? Can someone, what is
I'll
this?
speak to this. Again, this is, they talk about a 5-year plan or a plan. 5 years ago, we redid this plan. It was my understanding the plan is to be approximately every 10 years. Again, I have multiple plans. Therefore, I don't believe because of the future for the bridge that the Hamlet of Burton is going to be doing anything for a few years.
Okay, further discussion on number 11.
If our Parks Director is here and she'd like to speak on any of this, I'd certainly be happy if she could illuminate us any further beyond what's been said.
Ms. Roth, are you there? I see your name on the screen. Are you there? Teresa?
All right, Rob.
Can you chat?
She's turned off. I see her name on the screen, but she's muted, I believe.
Okay. All right, well.
Okay, we'll have to move on. Further discussion on number 11. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
No.
Counselor Carr,
No.
Counselor White,
No.
Counselor Bacallo,
No.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is defeated. Next item, personal services, that's the lifeguards at the beach, 32,000. We have a number of fantastic parks in the town of Cicero. A number of the large ones are, I'm going to call program oriented, whether it's softball, whether it's soccer, things like that. This particular park at William Beach is what I'm going to call in my own language, a friendly family and friends park, where you end up having all ages to be able to get together in that particular area, and in particular with the lake available. One of the items that we've had trouble at that particular park is getting lifeguards. The pay, frankly, was way too low. In today's world, where a lot of lifeguards want to go to a pool as opposed to a lake, we have to be competitive and maybe even be creative in hiring people there. Up to this point, I think we were doing the traditional way. I'm not ready to give up on William Beach, and this will at least give us the opportunity to let the director to be out there and be creative and give us a shot at it. If we get it, fine. If we have to have the property there and not have the residents have use of it, at least we can say that we couldn't hire the personnel. They're very disappointed having a facility out there with a lakefront, especially, and not be able to use it. Further discussion on number 12.
Well, I mean, the facility remains, the playground, the tables, the pavilions and everything remains. Just the beach itself, which frequently gets closed because of water quality problems, would not be available. So, I mean, this is not about closing the entire park. You know, I would love to be able to have this in there, but I think that, you know, as we're trimming our, you know, tightening our belt this year, you know, and the fact that we do have a county park facility in the town, which is excellent. I just think that this is, wouldn't go so far as to say an extravagance, but I think it's an unnecessary expense under the circumstances. And so it's not something I'm in favor of.
I'm not saying to close the park. I think in the narrative you have on there is to restore the lifeguards.
No, I understand that, but what I was saying though was you're saying, you know, we have this lakefront facility that's unable to be used. I'm just saying that the majority of the facility is able to be used, just not the beach, which gets closed frequently anyway, you know.
Right,
so.
right. But the other parks don't have a beach, so I'm trying to
That's true.
let the people use the beach.
I understand.
Across the state of New York, they allow for swimming without lifeguards. So I looked it up a few hours ago. So swim at your own risk. And, New York State can do it. We can do it in Cicero. So I don't see the need for lifeguards.
I would want to talk to our attorney and our insurance carrier about that, but
Why would this be out of fund balance instead of taxes?
Because that would have it, to make sure that we don't view it as a ongoing expense. If we this will have to be decided very soon into the season. And if it's turns out that we can't do it, then it can just end up being, so it's back in the fund balance and it gives us flexibility. Not trying to make it so that it's not a message that it's a commitment.
Well, I guess with the pandemic as it is right now and the future of all of us not even knowing about where we're going to congregate, I don't believe that we should encourage gatherings, particularly in the water, and the fact that we do have the green and blue algae along with the geese situation. I think that we may, obviously the park is open and the beach is available for fishing, but I don't believe swimming. I think that's a luxury this year, especially when Oneida Shores is only 5 miles away.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Just for more clarification, of course, I'd love the interpretation from our attorney as well. From the handbook issued by the New York State, Parks Department, it says swimming is encouraged in designed areas. Persons who swim in areas without lifeguard protection or when a lifeguard is not on duty do so at their own risk. So.
No, I understand that. That doesn't necessarily keep us from getting sued. Like I said, I would just want to check with our insurance carrier before we adopt that kind of policy. But I appreciate that. That's not something I looked into specifically. We've always had lifeguards. So. Okay.
Okay, any further discussion on number 12? Further discussion? Yeah. Teresa Roth, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we're talking about lifeguards at William Beach.
Yes, I've been able to hear you. I don't know why you guys didn't hear me on the last item, but I logged in on my phone now. Sorry.
Did you have any thoughts, comments you'd like to?
As far as the lifeguards, that's up to you. I do have some ideas this year on how we can, find lifeguards, but just need to know whether to start that search early in the year if we have funding for payroll for them or not.
Okay, further comments on number 12?
Well, I would like to see lifeguards back there, but I just don't know if this is the right time to do that. With the problems we had trying to find them before and with the virus still around and not knowing when we're all going to get vaccinated. I don't think holding off for one more year would be that catastrophic for that. But I would love to see it come back, definitely.
I would as well. I just feel that one of our top gems in the town of Cicero is Williams Park, and that we have waterfront property. And I'm a firm believer that everyone should learn how to swim. So obviously I would love to have that open, but I understand the circumstances with COVID and the difficulty you guys have had in the past year. So again, it's up to you, but I definitely do have some ideas on how we could get lifeguards this year if you decided you wanted to.
Okay. Thank you.
Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Belicki.
No.
Counselor Cart.
No.
Counselor White.
No.
Counselor Bacallo.
No.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is defeated. Number 13, park labor.
Um,
I'd like to address that.
Yeah, I asked for this to be put back in and also for the name change because this item and the following item were both put in as beach labor and beach monitors, when in reality, these are people who work at and monitor the parks in general, including keeping an eye out to make sure people are not swimming when the beach is closed at Williams Beach, and people who are there keeping an eye on the facilities when there's, people have rented the pavilion, it's, and things like that. So these are part-time employees. These are necessary expenses to protect the facilities and, limit liability. So I'm just, even though I know we're going to vote separately, the comments I'm making now apply to both of them. I think that these are necessary expenses. I also appreciate Ms. Johan's renaming them so they're more accurate descriptions of what these positions do.
I'd also like to speak to that, understanding, as Mr. Karp just reiterated on about monitoring, because of our possibility of renting our pavilions, that the attendees need to be monitored, and having the facilities open as well, and also making sure that it's a carry-in, carry-out opportunity, and changing the names obviously makes it more useful, because not just particularly for Williams Park, for the other parks as well.
Further discussion on number 13. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carp,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Yes.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. Number 14.
Same comments
Park
as the last
manager.
one.
Who would like to address that one?
We
I
just did,
applied the
think.
comments
we
I
did
made to the last
discussion,
item
but-
to this one.
Right.
I did have a question though. Historically, are the zeros Elka in 2018, 2000? Is that because the name of the line changed?
Well, for the park monitors, I don't know, Mike. I wasn't here in those years. I could dig it up and see what the deal was. But I would say I do not know right now.
But this looks like it's
No.
completely.
The beach was closed one of those years.
But we still had people monitoring it. I remember that. It might have been
Yeah,
under a different line.
We did have monitors. It's not a new item, it's just a name change.
Just a quick question too, Teresa, is this summer help?
Yes, it's just seasonal. It's two part-time positions to cover the 10 to 4 time frame, 7 days a week.
Thank you.
Further discussion on number 14. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carp,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Yes.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. Number 15, contingent account. Short story is with a $15 million budget, $50,000 contingency is, in my judgment, grossly inadequate. Especially this year when we're going to be dealing with a number of items that the governor has put down that we are supposed to do, come up with a pandemic plan and some other items like that, another unfunded mandate that the folks in Albany have given us. We need to have some flexibility.
I thought that was the 25,000 for the COVID plan.
Right, but they're coming out with additional items. Another one of the items was the police item. We're supposed to have 1st of April, that item also agreed to and passed by the board. So we seem to be, as things go on, getting more and more directives from our friends in Albany. And like I said, in a budget this size, that's a very, very small percentage contingency.
So we're actually looking at that to be a total of 120,000?
That item is, I was looking to have 100, and then the item number 2 that was just for the Director of Purchasing. So the answer to your
So the
question is
total-
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Discussion on number 15.
Well, so wait, what are we voting to make this 100,000?
It's
120.
100,000 plus the item up in the beginning, which had the
Right.
Director of Purchasing, which was 20.
Yeah.
I really
I'm-
think that it should be 50 and the 20. This is like guessing, and we're going to be taxing. This is a taxable item. That's why we have emergency money. I don't think $100,000. I think without knowing, that's a lot of money to be taxing our residents on.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be more comfortable the lower number, and then if something else comes up to take the money from the fund balance, that's what it's there for. The reserves are there for. It's my thoughts
So
on it anyway.
what's your thought then on the number?
50,000. And I guess we have to put your 20 in there just in case.
Make it 70?
Yes.
I could do
Any
that.
concurrence on 70?
I could do that.
I have it as, all right, I'll change my amendment to 70,000.
Is that Mr.
Okay.
Bacala, do you have any comments? Are you comfortable with that number?
Do we even have to have a director of purchasing is my question.
Well, I don't know that we do,
don't have
but if
to-
we won't spend the money, if we don't,
Right.
you know.
Right.
It's still $20,000 we're taxing on the people that isn't necessary to do so. That's how I
And
look at it.
a $15,000, $15 million budget is pretty hard to measure.
And someone needs to do that paperwork.
Well, I'd like to do a survey of other towns and see how other towns handle it. If they do it the same way that we do, I don't know that it's always centralized in every other town, so I'm not sure. But I mean, the problem is if we do need contingency funds, and so even if we don't have a director of purchasing, that 20,000 I think would probably end up, there'll be $20,000 less we'll need to take out of the fund balance. So I'm comfortable with the $70,000 number. If we don't hire a director of purchasing or pay him 20 grand, then I'm sure that money will be used for something else. That is a small contingency line. I do agree.
It's at 75,000 currently now with the COVID, if you put those two together.
Just so that you're aware, right now, as the budget stands, we have 50,000 in the contingency. The
Correct.
first budget had 100,000 in it, and we took out 50. So right now, in the budget, we have 50,000.
So we're talking about adding another 20
So we're
then?
only adding 20. Right?
No, I'm talking about my number I was working off of was to add another 50 and make it 100, and plus the 20 for the director of purchasing.
But you said we already had 50 in the budget, so
Correct.
we
Right
would
now,
only be
the way the
adding
budget
20.
stands, there's 50,000 in the contingency line.
Right.
Plus the 25,000 with the COVID, which is another contingency line.
It's a
Right.
separate line, though. It's not the same.
Right.
No,
Bill was combining it all though.
Well,
No,
because
Oh, it wasn't.
earlier on, I offered to split number 2, and the board members didn't want to address that and wanted to address it later on with the other contingency. So that's why it's being brought up here, because folks didn't want to discuss it at the number 2 item on the amendments.
You did
Okay.
combine it, Bill, because you mentioned as soon as you opened up the 50,000 contingency line, you mentioned the COVID. The New York State,
did.
COVID. There's already 25,000 for
I
that.
was using that as an example, and the other item, for example, of how Albany is coming up with additional items was the police reform item. And who knows what's going to keep coming down.
could someone please clarify what number we are speaking to here?
The item or the dollar?
The dollar.
Okay, I'm looking at 50, which is the current, and then I'm asking for 50 plus 20 for 70, If other people have different numbers other than 70,000, I'm open to hearing the numbers.
All right, I'm saying we already have 50 in, so we're
Correct.
looking at 20. So it would be 20 that we're voting on because we already have 50 in the budget.
Okay, so that's not my amendment.
Understand?
Do we, okay. Excuse me, so,
My amendment is for 50. If somebody has a different number than 50, I'm willing to listen.
okay. My question is, are funds that go into the contingency, they're not earmarked for specific purposes. So we could say we're gonna put 25 in to make it a total of 75. Part of that might or might not be used for director of purchasing. It could be used for
Correct.
something else,
We
correct?
can earmark it or not earmark it, correct?
Okay.
Just understand that right now, our first budget had 100,000 in the contingency.
Correct,
We removed 50, and right
Correct.
now the budget has 50 in it.
correct.
Correct. So we're talking about moving it back up to the 100 with the 50, and then if you want to add another 20, that would make it up to 120. So,
Correct.
Could we
Got
People
it.
have different,
split the
different
difference
options.
and do 45? Instead of 50,000 plus 20, do 25, half of the 50, then put 75,000 in there for contingency plus the 20 for the purchasing. Makes it 95 instead of 120.
Okay, so your number is 45.
Yes,
Basically, add a 45.
yes.
Okay, I'll change my amendment to 45,000. So we have a motion for 45,000 increase in the contingency. Is there further discussion on the amendment for 45?
Would the
That would
45,
just-
is any of that earmarked or is that unallocated?
I don't have it as allocated,
Right.
so,
by being in a contingency, it's not allocated, so.
Right, but maybe I used the wrong phrase, but none of that 45 is not, none of it's earmarked for any particular purpose.
do-
then, correct?
I'm open to have it not earmarked. I'm offering it not earmarked.
I think he wants to put 20 of it towards the purchasing person.
Oh, I know that's what he wants. I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure.
All right.
Because I'm still having a tough time with that. So whatever the
Okay.
addition is, if it's 45 or whatever, as long as it would, for me at least, it would need to not be earmarked for any particular purpose.
Okay, to make it clear, my amendment is 45,000 unearmarked. Clerk
So
will
that
call the
would-
roll.
No.
Counselor Boyke,
No.
Counselor Cart,
No,
Counselor White,
Yes,
Counselor Bacallo,
No.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is defeated.
I
Okay,
would be willing
number-
to talk about another number. I was kind of in the middle of saying that when the roll was called. I might be, I could support a lower number than that. I thought 45 was a bit much.
okay, what would you like, John? What's your,
I'd be willing to add 25,000 unearmarked.
I'll take what I can get.
We still
So that-
have,
$5, Miss.
That's
Miss Johannes.
basically changing it from the current 50 to 75. Is that
Right.
right, Mr. Cart?
Correct,
Okay,
correct. But no earmarks.
correct. Okay, discussion on the new amendment. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
excuse me, don't we have to retract?
No, he made a new one.
I made a new one. That one got defeated. The previous one got defeated.
All right, so we're adding 25 to the existing 50. Is that
Make it
correct?
75, no earmarks, so it's not allocated.
That
to-
line item is now 75,000.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
Counselor Cart,
Yes.
Counselor White,
yes,
Counselor Bacallo,
No.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes. Item is adopted. Moving on to number 9, I'm sorry, number 16, Alka, I believe that was zeroed out, right? Because we went to.
No, I
part-time.
do need some money for the payroll taxes and the retirement for my full halftime person. In other words,
Okay,
my
so-
50% person.
Okay,
So
so
I
what
need-
do I change? What do I change the 28,000 to?
20,000 times 20%, $4,000.
$4,000. Okay, so my motion under number 16, retirement insurance, taxes, and so forth, is $4,000.
Okay, I love the calculator noise, by the way.
It makes you know I'm working.
Adding machines are fun.
Okay, discussion on number 16, $4,000. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carp,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. Number 17, judgment and claims. If I'm looking at this right, Alka, I'm seeing this as a duplicate item or no? Where am I?
No, it's not. Let me just grab my DB budget here.
I see tax certs and tax certs, so.
The tax certs are split between the A fund and the DB
Okay,
fund.
okay,
Both
thank you.
funds absorb
Okay,
some of
I-
the cost of the
I stand
certs.
corrected. Thank you. Okay, so again, if we do have tax items that we lose and we have to settle up, we have the money to pay them. So as Elka just said, part of that is out of the DB and part of it is out of the other fund. So discussion on number 17.
Well, I would comment, even if we win on these tax certs, frequently there is still a settlement that needs to happen. I mean, it can end favorably for us and we still have to cut a check. I know that there's always a ton of these pending. And I think that's necessary to restore this as much as it's painful to do so because, I mean, in an ordinary year, the courts have been shut down this year, so these tax certs haven't really moved. But in an ordinary year, I mean, anyone else, the rest of you that have been on the board, it's not uncommon for us to have executive sessions and have to approve settlements. And you write a $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 check, even though the settlement's favorable for us because we have exposure to a lot more. So I think it's reasonable to restore this.
Further discussion on number 17. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carp,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Number 18, capital paving. There was a cut in preliminary budget. My amendment is to restore the paving. We got kind of lucky this year on having very low oil prices. Oil prices are going up. We're basically going to have to increase the dollars to get us even closer to where we were for miles being paved in previous years.
I'm concerned that we're just obliterating that fund balance.
Too.
That was my concern as well, because we are using fund balance to add to the budget when in fact that fund balance is very low. Besides, I think this year we had some found money that we applied to paving more roads. It would be wonderful if we had a nice winter and would be able to find some more money to apply to this line item rather than drain our fund balance.
I agree.
Basically, it was a cooperative venture between this board and the highway superintendent to, I'm going to say, convince him that due to the unusually light winter that we had some money available. Secondly, we convinced him to bid it out. If you remember, oil prices were low, so we went out to bid ourselves and did not use the county bid, and that saved us some money. So I guess I wouldn't use the word found money. I would say that the board, along with the highway superintendent, were being aggressive to save some money and take advantage of this unusual circumstance. So I believe some other towns followed our lead on that and decided to bid out and not take the county contracts, and they were able to save some money too. So hopefully things will work out, but this at least has a message to the residents that we did take the message of fix the roads, fix the roads, fix the roads seriously, and we're make an effort. So
Bill,
would like-
I concur with you. We should, I'm willing to negotiate a number with everyone. It's, if there's one thing a local government should do, it should be definitely our infrastructure and our roads. So I'm willing to talk with everyone on a number.
I also, first of all, like to say that the highway department absolutely has done a great job, and using all of our abilities to be able to find money wherever it may be, and be able to pave as much of roads we can. But I would ask Elka, what is our fund balance going to be if we pull this $100,000 from that DB account?
Just remember, we rated the fund balance in February to buy the truck with that reserve, so
And that was how much money?
$242,000.
But Elka and I talked earlier, and while she's looking, I believe that we have 700,000 in there. We're already using 400,000, not counting this 100,000 or the next item. So we're down to 300,000 before we even add these two back in. That's precariously low if things don't pick up next year to pay for the year after.
Thanks, Nancy. I knew we were
Yeah,
around
thank you.
4.
Well, we, like I said, during the year 2020, 242,000 was taken out of fund balance that wasn't budgeted to purchase the vehicle. Their special reserve was set up to taken out of fund balance and immediately spent. So, I mean, fund balance for the highway department has been taking some heavy hits.
okay, further discussion on number 18.
Well, it sounded like Mr. Bacala was willing to offer an amendment to a different number. I think we should, I think this.
Let's open the discussion is kind of what
I think this
Okay, shoot,
topic
what do you
is
have,
of
Mike?
sufficient magnitude that because I don't believe respectfully there's a support for 100,000 right now, but this topic is of sufficient magnitude that if another number could be reached, it's something that we should discuss.
Also, to add to that, unfortunately, over the course of a few years, we have not budgeted for paving. We have gone out and borrowed. And this has put a burden on the town, and now we really need to put paving back in. And I agree that if there is a different number, I'm open.
What'd you have in mind, Mike?
I mean, if you think about it, Bill, it's roads we're talking. So if it's not 100,000, I mean, if you ask for 50,000, what is that really going to get you? Right? That's kind of what I'm open for discussion from everybody. This is, I'm willing to make cuts in every area, but when it comes to paving roads, it's what we're here to do is pave roads. Like that's my big thing. I'd like to see
Well,
that.
let's be honest. We don't want to borrow, we don't want to tax, and we don't want to use the fund balance, but we want to do the roads. I mean, that's
Well,
the bottom
but
line.
this is coming out of fund balance,
Well, that's
correct?
what I said. We don't want to use fund balance, we don't want to borrow, and we don't want to tax, we want to fix the road. So
Well,
it's gotta come from someplace, so.
Extra this year.
We ask for volunteers.
Okay.
Bring your shovels.
I don't think I'd do
Okay.
much good because I wouldn't know what I was doing, but
I think this
Okay,
is
so
a huge hit.
do you have a number in mind, Mike?
More.
I mean, I would rather, instead of this even coming out of the fund balance, I'd like to see this just taxed, but I don't even, but
well,
but
because
you're-
highway is a special tax line anyway, it's a tax levy
Right.
that I would assume that it would have, as in the past, previous years, that it's a taxable item, not to take it out of the fund balance.
Well, if you balance
Okay.
the budget by taking it out of fund balance, then it comes out of fund balance. If you
yeah.
add to the levy, then it adds to the levy.
Right.
So are you suggesting, Mr. Bacala, that we restore the 100,000, but tax to do that?
I'd rather see it that way than
Well-
borrowing from the fund balance.
So there's no emergency
Okay.
money. We'll be
Okay.
down to about $200,000 in the fund balance.
Okay, I haven't heard another number, so I'm going to ask the clerk to call the roll
Well-
for number 18.
Well, yeah, but now we're talking about whether or not we're going to be taking out of fund balance or taxing. That's an amendment, is it not?
Do we really want to get into amendments, or why don't we come up with a new amendment?
Okay,
We're not doing
then-
amendments
okay,
on an
all right.
amendment.
All right, so right now we're voting on 100,000 from fund balance,
No,
correct?
100,000 for fund balance.
Okay,
Okay, clerk will call the roll on number 18.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carp,
I
No.
just want to, I don't mean to interrupt Ms. Boyke, but did you want,
Yes, for 100,000 to go back into the budget for paving.
but it's out of fund balance?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Counselor Carp,
no,
Counselor White,
No.
Counselor Bacallo,
Nothing's changed and it's from the fund balance. Unfortunately, I'm a no.
Supervisor Meyer,
Yes, item is defeated. Okay, did someone have I'm going to call it 18A here for us? Mike, did you have an item you wanted to bring up?
you're muted, Mr. Bacallo.
What did you ask, Bill?
Did you
Sorry.
did you want to have another item, Mike? The item was defeated, number 18. Did you have another item?
As coming out of fund balance. So now you could what,
Right.
have
Did
another
you wanna
item
have an
to
item
come
for
out of
the tax-
taxes?
The tax for that item.
Nancy and John, would that be something that you'd entertain? It wouldn't have to be the 100,000 either. I want to have a conversation about it.
Well, we could also think about 50 from fund balance and 50 from taxes.
That is a compromise I'll take.
How's the rest of the board
Nancy?
feel about that?
I still am concerned about it. We still have another 100,000 in the next item,
Yes.
fund balance.
Judy?
Yes.
So half and half?
Well,
Half
you-
tax, half fund balance?
Yep.
Yeah, that would work.
I mean, I'm going to be a no on the next item, just putting it
Me
out
too.
there.
So, yeah.
If that helps you at all, Miss White, I'm going to be a no. I don't think the next item is going to pass. So I don't know if that helps you with the current discussion.
It kind of does.
Okay.
Okay, Mike, let's,
Then I offer a half and half of that 100,000.
Well,
Okay.
procedurally, do we have to
let
vote
me
on
just
these
summarize.
separately?
Mr. Bacallo, if I may interrupt, just to
Yeah.
make it easy for the clerk and the comptroller. Your motion is for $100,000 to restore paving. 50,000 is fund balance, 50,000 is property tax. Did I summarize it?
If the board is good with that, yes.
Well, I'm just trying to get your motion, your amendment.
Yes.
Okay, that's your discussion on Mr. Bacallo's amendment. 50,000 property tax, 50,000 fund balance to restore $100,000 to paving. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carp,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Number 19, machinery equipment. Restore the truck purchases, $100,000. I have to remind everyone here that we're not just doing town roads. We have a contract with Onondaga County for for plowing their roads. Frankly, they are not quite as sensitive to plowing town roads as we are. They just want to make sure the county roads are done. So if we run into any issues this winter with COVID or vehicle repairs or whatever it is, they're going to expect their roads to be done. So I think we need to keep that in consideration, and we need to have proper funding for the highway department. We have presently a zero contingency budget for the highway department. There's no contingency line in the highway department budget. So I offer amendment number 19 for the truck purchases. Discussion on.
Those
number
weren't for big trucks. Those were for, I mean, they're big to me,
Right.
but those weren't
Right,
for like.
these
snowplow
are, I'm going to call the smaller vehicles and the vehicles other than, I'm going to call the big the big stuff?
I'm going to go with the county on this one. The county has put a freeze for 2021 on all vehicles.
They're not purchasing any vehicles?
Any vehicles in any department per Syracuse.com.
They're not doing parks vehicles. They're not doing police vehicles. They're not doing
No vehicles.
as far as vehicles. Well, pretty much.
I guess my thoughts on this is, since it would be coming from the fund balance anyway, I'd rather not allocate the fund balance to it. If there is an emergency and a vehicle dies and cannot be repaired, then, the money will still be there in the fund balance. I'd rather spend it if needed than allocate it now for a purchase that may not be needed under the circumstances. So I'm a no on this.
Okay.
We're
Thank you.
still leaving $65,000 in the budget. They have enough to purchase one vehicle. They don't have enough to purchase the 3 that they wanted.
I would
That's a good point. Thank you.
65,000. I would like to make an amendment for that, but I don't think I have the okays from the board. So.
Okay, clerk will call the roll on number 19.
Counselor Blakey.
No.
Counselor Carr.
No.
Counselor White.
No.
Counselor Bacallo.
No.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes. Item is defeated. Number 20, reserve for equipment. Again, that's put in reserve for the 2022 plow purchase. The 125 is obviously not enough to buy a vehicle, but if it's put in reserve this year plus the next year would be 2022, hopefully will be enough to come close to buying a snowplow with all the equipment and plow.
So just so I understand, because I know the lead time on these is over a year, I'm assuming by saying 2022 plow purchase, this is a plow that we will order this year, but be paying for in 2022, right?
No, it'll be one that you'll be ordering in January of 2022 because you'll have the 125 from 2021 plus the 125 hopefully for 2022, which will give you the 250 so that you can order that truck in January, and hopefully they usually don't take a year. This COVID thing is extended. I would think that you would be able to order it in January and would have it for September so that you would be able to use it for the next plow season. I can't imagine that it could take more than 9 months to put a truck together.
It has. I mean,
Well, it has this year.
I think they got-
Hopefully we would put a message out to the folks who are the dealers and let them know that we're ready and we put this reserve ready. And so when they're ordering their samples, their floor models or whatever, they can get them in the appropriate red color for us and be ready to go.
So
We
we
get a yellow one and paint it red.
I just want to double check this. We got one this year. We have one ordered that we will be getting in March of 21. And then we're looking to try to order another one in January of 22.
Yeah, with 17 routes, that means the snowplow ends up being 17 years old by the time it comes around to be replaced, which is kind of an old age for a snowplow. And that's assuming we don't sometime over the next year or two add another route. But right now, with 17 routes, and we're only getting one a year of a snowplow, we're expecting plows to last 17 years, which is probably a bit of a stretch. If you talk to the highway superintendent, he'll tell you that it's definitely a stretch.
But it's my understanding now that we built a new garage, that was part of the deal, that we would get a couple more years of life off of them. Let's hope so.
I would hope so.
yeah, the only problem is some of these, as I went over one of our previous meetings, are 05s. So they spent,
Yeah.
13 or 14 years being stored outside, not getting washed down.
Right.
So I don't think a year indoors and being washed down is going to undo all the damage.
It will not make the
that
rust
was
go
done
away.
previously.
That was a good thought.
Right. The rust will not go away just because of that.
All right. Is Mr. Wozniak on? Does he have any comments on this or?
I didn't see him. I thought he was on
He was
earlier.
on at one time. I did see him earlier in the meeting, or not
Yeah,
see
he
him.
was.
Okay.
He was.
Okay, he's not
Okay,
on
further
now.
discussion for number 20. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carp,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
No.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes. Item is adopted. Are there further items, further amendments to the 2021 budget?
I have nothing else.
I brought them up, none that I can win.
None
Okay.
for myself either.
Okay, we have a motion and a second by Mr. Carp. We have a number of amendments. So the vote is to adopt the 2021 Town of Cicero budget as amended. Discussion.
I'm glad I don't have to do this for another year.
I'm sure you're already looking forward to it.
Well, at least, Elka, you'll have a good idea of what to expect.
Right. At least it won't be all, it's all
Okay,
new.
further discussion on number 9 is amended. Hearing none, clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carp,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
No.
Supervisor Meyer.
No. Item is adopted. Okay, that being said,
I'll work on putting together the new final budget figures as to how
Thank
much will be levied with the taxes and how much will come out of fund balance and do all those nice numbers.
Thank you,
Bill, you-
Elka,
okay,
for all your
our
hard
next,
work as
our
well.
next regular meeting is December 9th, I believe. Hopefully, we will not have a need for a special board meeting. Mr. Bacallo at the last meeting brought up a informational item concerning Thanksgiving, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Christmas events with the Parks Department. I have a notice here for December 5th, which is an item that's going to be at the Twin Rinks area. All the folks are invited to attend. It's going to be at the Mid-State Athletic Community Center parking lot. Folks are encouraged to decorate their vehicles, and there's more information on the town website. The second item is December 6th from 6 to 7. It's at the Brewerton Fire Department. Again, folks are encouraged to decorate their vehicles, remain in their vehicles, and that item also has an opportunity for residents to donate diapers to the CNY Diaper Bank. So I encourage all the residents who are inclined to attend both of these events, and it should be a great deal. I guess this is another example of the department and all the employees being very creative. We're trying to get through this COVID thing, and all the departments are giving their effort to make this happen. Are there any other items that the board would like to bring up?
Bill, it's not an item. It's I guess we'll end on a good note. I appreciate the effort from our town comptroller or the rest of my fellow board members. This budget process was a lot different than usual, but I gotta say, being able to discuss it here, it was a delight for me. I enjoyed it, and thank you all for participating.
Well, I'd also like to say that the same for me over the last 3 years, okay, that I believe that we are all very much more familiar with the actual spending and using of fund balances, and under the circumstances, we are more versed on what the town needs as opposed to what we want. With that said, I'd like to wish everyone as a nice Thanksgiving as much as possible. Thank you.
I have an idea that some of the board members may have had a different approach to this than what you had for the last few years, and maybe you didn't take me when I said that I was going to have you all involved and have you involved in every aspect of it and have your input on all of those. I hope you now understand that I was sincere in that effort, that you all had an opportunity to have input literally on every line in the budget. So that being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.